So good morning guys, I hope you guys be safe in our home listening. So during this pandemic period, our classes will be going through the online mode. I hope you guys will learn and please be safe and please be safe, okay? Clear? Clear. So for the last class we see about the conversion of galvanometer into ammeter and galvanometer into voltmeter, isn't it? So how the galvanometer can be converted into ammeter? The galvanometer can be converted into ammeter by connecting a low resistance in parallel. And the galvanometer can be converted into voltmeter by connecting a high resistance in series. Clear? Clear? Okay. So just today's sessions we are going to mark the book back questions. Okay. So for just to take a mark, what are the questions we have? Okay. For that lesson, the 3.1 introductions and 3.1.2 basic properties of magnet and 3.2 Coulomb's inverse square law of magnetism, then 3.8 okay, Biot-Savart law, and 3.8.1 definition and explanation of Biot-Savart law, and 3.8.2 the magnetic field due to long straight conductor carrying current. Then 3.8.3 the magnetic field produced along the axis of a current carrying circular coil. Then 3.8.5 current loopers magnetic dipole. Then 3.9 Ampere circuital law. Then 3.9.1 Ampere circuital law. The 3.9.2 the magnetic field due to the current carrying wire of infinite length using Ampere's law. Then 3.9.3 the magnetic field due to a long current carrying solenoid. Then 3.10 Lorentz force. Then 3.10.1 the force on a moving charge in a magnetic field. Then 3.10.2 the motion of a charged particle in a uniform magnetic field. Then 3.10.3 the motion of a charged particle under the crossed electric field and magnetic field. Then 3.10.5 the force on a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field. Then 3.10.6 the force between the two long parallel current carrying conductors. Then 3.11.2 moving coil galvanometer and the remaining topics. Okay. So these are the topics only we have for the exams. Okay. So first we are going to mark a book back questions. Okay. So for the book back questions, the first question, what is mean by magnetic induction? It's related question. Okay. The question number 1 is related. Question number 2. The question number 2, define magnetic flux. Define magnetic flux. You just take a page number 133. In a page number 133, the left hand side, the topic magnetic flux. The number of magnetic field lines crossing of any area normally is defined as the magnetic flux through the area. And the expression phi of B vector is equal to B vector dot A vector, which is equal to BA cos theta. Okay, BA cos theta. On the right hand side, after the expression, the magnetic flux is a scalar quantity, the SI unit of magnetic flux is Weber, and the dimensional formula for magnetic flux is mL square T power minus 2 A power minus 1. That much thing you mark it, okay. Then question number 3, define magnetic dipole moment. Define magnetic dipole moment. You just take a page number 113. The left hand side you mark it up. The magnetic dipole moment is defined as the product of its pole strength and magnetic length. It's a vector quantity and it is expressed by Pm is equal to Qm into D. And the next line, the magnitude of a dipole moment is Pm is equal to 2 Qm into L. The magnetic dipole moment, what is that? The magnitude of a magnetic dipole moment is Pm is equal to 2 Qm into L. And the SI unit of magnetic moment is ampere meter square. The SI unit of magnetic moment is ampere meter square. Then question number 4, state Coulomb's inverse square law. It's a page number 135. In the right hand side, the first paragraph. The force of attraction or repulsion between the two magnetic poles is directly proportional to the product of their pole strength and inversely proportional to the square of a distance between them. So F1 vector is proportional to, or you mark the expression 3.8. F vector is equal to K into QMA QMB divided by R square. The value of K is equal to mu 0 by 4 pi. Okay. Then question number 5 is related portion. Question number 6, state Biot-Savart law. Question number 6, state Biot-Savart law. The page number 154. Page number 154. State Biot-Savart law. Page number 154. In the page number 154, in the topic of definition and explanation of Biot-Savart law, the second line, the magnitude of a magnetic field dB vector at a point at a distance r from the small element of a conductor, current carrying conductor or conductor carrying current wires varies directly as the strength of a current, directly as the magnitude of a length of an element, directly as the sine of an angle between the element and the position, and inversely proportional to the square of a distance between the point P and the element. And also you mark the expression 3.34. dB vector is equal to mu 0 by 4 pi, ideal vector into r cap divided by r square. Okay, then question number 7 is related portion. Question number 8, state Ampere circuital law. State Ampere circuital law. It's a page number 162. 162 right answer you mark it as the Ampere's line integral of magnetic field over a closed loop is mu 0 times the net current enclosed by the loop, and closed integral of B vector dot dl vector is equal to mu 0 into I enclosed, where I enclosed is the net current linked by the closed loop. I enclosed is the net current linked by the closed loop. Okay, then question number 9, 10, 11, 12. They are deleted portions. Okay, they are deleted portion. Question number 13. Define ampere. Define ampere. It's page number 179. It's page number 179. The right hand side, the definition of ampere. One paragraph is there, isn't it? 1 ampere is defined as the constant current which, when passes through each of the two infinite long parallel straight conductors kept side by side parallel at a distance of 1 meter apart in air or vacuum, causes each conductor to experience a force of 2 into 10 power minus 7 Newton per meter length of a conductor. Then question number 14, state Fleming left hand rule. Question number 14, state Fleming left hand rule. It's page number 177. It's page number 177. The left hand side, when a current carrying conductor is placed in magnetic field, the direction of force is experienced and is given by Fleming left hand rule. The next paragraph. All next paragraph is enough. Okay, the stretch out the finger, forefinger, middle finger and thumb of left hand such as they are mutually in perpendicular directions. If the forefinger points the direction of magnetic field, the middle finger points the direction of electric current, the thumb will points the direction of force experienced by the conductor. The direction of force experienced by the conductors. Okay, now question number 15 is ammeter connected in series or parallel in a circuit Y. Is ammeter connected in series or parallel in circuit Y. You just take a page number 183. Page number 183. The right hand side, the last paragraph, galvanometer to ammeter. The topic galvanometer to ammeter. The second paragraph, third line. The third line, the ammeter must offer low resistance such that it will not change the current passed through it. So the ammeter is connected in series to measure the circuit current. So the ammeter is connected in series. So is the ammeter connected in series or parallel? The ammeter should be connected in series. Okay. Then question number 16. Explain the concept of velocity selector. Explain the concept of velocity selectors. Okay, it's a 3-mark questions. Okay, explain the concept of velocity selector. It's a 3-mark question. You just take a book and page number 173 and 74. 173 and 74. The motion of a charged particle under crossed electric field and magnetic field. 3.10.3 fully you should mark. Okay, up to the definition. By proper choice of electric and magnetic fields, the particle with a particular speed can be selected. Such arrangement of field is called a velocity selector. Such arrangement of field is called a velocity selector. Now, question number 17. Why is the path of a charged particle is not circle when its velocity is not perpendicular to the magnetic field? You just take a page number 171. 171. Okay, in 171, the left hand side the third paragraph. The left hand side the third paragraph. If a charged particle moving in a region of uniform magnetic field such that the velocity is not perpendicular to magnetic field. So the velocity of a particle is split up into two components. One component is parallel to the field while the other component is perpendicular to the field. So the component of a velocity parallel to the field remains unchanged and the component perpendicular to the field keeps changing due to Lorentz force. So hence the path of a particle is not a circle, it's the helical. Hence the path of a particle is not a circle, it's the helical. Okay. Then question number 18 is related portion. The 19 also related portion, and question number 20. How the galvanometer can be converted into ammeter and voltmeter. How the galvanometer can be converted into ammeter and voltmeter. You just take a book and mark the page number 187. 187. In a points to remember. In a points to remember, the last two fifth point. The last two fifth point. The galvanometer can be converted into ammeter by a given range by connecting a suitable low resistance parallel to the given galvanometer. Parallel to the given galvanometer. The last two fifth point. Page number 187, the summary, the right hand side, the last fifth point, how the galvanometer can be converted into ammeter. Then, how the galvanometer converted into voltmeter, it's a page, the same page 187, the last second point. The last second point, the galvanometer can be converted into suitable voltmeter of a given range by connecting a suitable high resistance in series with the given galvanometer. Clear? Clear. So we mark the book back with short answers. Okay. Now discuss the electric field in detail. So this the discuss the Earth's magnetic field detail is a data questions. Okay. Now question number 2. Deduce the relation of a magnetic field at a point due to infinite long straight conductors. Infinite long straight conductor. It's page number 156 and 57. 156 and 57. 156 and 57. The 3.8.2. The 3.8.2 fully you should mark it. Okay. What is that? The 3.8.2 fully you should mark it. Okay. Up to the expression 3.36. B vector is equal to mu 0 I by 4 pi a into 2 n cap. Which means B vector is equal to mu 0 I by 2 pi a into n cap. Okay. Now question number 2. Obtain the relation for the magnetic field at a point along the axis of a circular coil carrying current. Along the axis of a circular coil carrying current. It's a page number 157 and 158. 157 and 158. The 3.8.3. The magnetic field produced along the axis of a current carrying circular coil. Consider a current carrying circular coil to the expression 3.38. B vector is equal to mu 0 n I by 2r into k cap. B vector is equal to mu 0 n I by 2r into k cap. Clear? Clear. Then question number 4 is delta portion. Question number 5 is delta portion. 6 is delta portion. Then question number 7. Find the magnetic field due to a long straight conductor using Ampere's circuital law. Okay. It's page number 162 and 63. It's 162 and 63. In 162, the 3.9.2. Consider a straight conductor of infinite length carrying current I. 2. Page number 163, the expression. The last, left hand side, the last expression. B vector is equal to mu 0 I by 2 pi r into n cap, where n cap is the unit vector along the tangent to the Ampere loop. Then question number 8 is delta portion, question number 9 is delta portion, question number 10 is also a delta portion. Then question number 11, discuss the conversion of galvanometer into ammeter and also a voltmeter. It's page number 183. It's a page number 183. Okay, page number 183, 184 and 85. 84 and 85. Fully question mark. Okay, conversion of galvanometer into ammeter and galvanometer into voltmeter. Page number 183, 184, 185. Okay, 181, 83, 84 and 85. Then question number 12. Calculate the magnetic field inside and outside of a long solenoid using Ampere circuital law. Using Ampere circuital law. Calculate the magnetic field inside and outside of a long solenoid using Ampere circuital law. It's page number 164 and 65. 164 and 65. In 164, the right hand side 3.9.3. 3.9.3, the magnetic field due to long current carrying solenoid. Consider a solenoid of length L having N turns. 2. Page number 165, the left hand side, the last paragraph. B is equal to mu 0 N I. But since N is a constant for a given solenoid and also mu 0 is a constant, for a fixed current, the magnetic field inside the solenoid is also constant. The magnetic field inside the solenoid is also constant. Now, question number 13. Derive the expression for the force between the two long parallel current carrying conductors. Derive the expression for the force between the two long parallel current carrying conductors. It's page number 178 and 179. 178 and 179. 178 at 3.10.6. Let the two long straight parallel current carrying conductors to page number 179. The left hand side, the last. The force between the two long parallel or two parallel current carrying conductors is repulsive if they carry current in opposite directions. If they carry current in opposite directions. Okay. Now, give an account of magnetic Lorentz force. Give an account of magnetic Lorentz force. It's a page number 168. 168. That is 3.10.1. Fully you should mark. Okay. 3.10.1 up to above the definition of Tesla. That's 7 points you have to mark. Okay. So when an electric charge Q is moving with the velocity v in the magnetic field, it experiences a force is called the magnetic force. 2. Up to that 7 points. If the velocity of a charge Q is along the direction of magnetic field, then the force Fm vector will be 0. Up to that you should mark it. Okay. Now, question number 13 also, 15 also derivative portion. Question number 16. Derive an expression for the force on a current carrying conductor in magnetic field. It's page number 176 and 177. 176 and 177. So when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field to up to above the Fleming's left hand rule. Up to above the Fleming left hand rule. So F in total is equal to BIL sin theta. If a conductor is placed along the direction of magnetic field, the angle theta is equal to 0. So the force experienced by the conductor is 0. If the conductor is placed perpendicular to the magnetic field, the angle theta is equal to 90 degree. So if the force experienced by the conductor is maximum. So F max is equal to BIL. Clear? 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 Now you just take your book and so the mark the fourth lesson, the deleted portions. Okay. Fourth lesson, the deleted portions. 4.1 electromagnetic induction, 4.1.1 introduction, 4.1.2 magnetic flux, 4.1.5 Fleming right hand rule, 4.1.6 the motional EMF from the Lorentz force, 4.3 self-induction, 4.3.1 introduction, 4.3.2 the self-induction of a long solenoid, the 4.3.3 mutual induction, the 4.3.4 the mutual induction between the two long coaxial solenoid, the 4.4 methods of producing induced EMF, 4.4.1 introduction, 4.4.2 the production of induced EMF by changing the magnetic field, the 4.4.3 the production of induced EMF by changing the area of a coil, then 4.4.4 the production of induced EMF by changing the relative orientation of a coil with magnetic field, then 4.6 transformer, then 4.6.1 construction and working of a transformer, 4.6.2 energy losses in transformer, then 4.6.3 advantages of AC over a long distance power transmission, 4.7 alternating current, 4.7.1 introduction, 4.7.1 mean or average value of AC, 4.7.2 RMS value of an AC, then 4.7.3, 7.4, 7.5 AC with pure resistors, inductor and capacitor, then 4.7.6 RLC circuit, 4.7.7 the resonance in series RLC circuit, then 4.7.8 Q factor, 4.8 power in AC circuits, 4.8.1 the introduction of a power in AC circuit, then 4.8.2 wattless current, 4.8.3 power factor, 4.8.4 advantages and disadvantages of AC and DC, 4.9 oscillations in LC circuits, 4.9.1 the energy conservations during LC oscillation, then 4.9.2 the conservation of energy in LC oscillations. So for next class onwards we are going to see the fourth lessons. Okay, I hope you mark the book back questions and thank you guys.